Profanity Nation.
Yeah, it's the new era of man for some old school fans with a new school brand. We got money on the mic with the plan in hand. And Stat Pat to his left, they go hand in hand. And to the right, we got Simpster, he putting it down. It's the Profanity Nation, we running the town. Yeah,
It's the Profanity Nation.
Welcome to the Profanity Nation podcast, where we are the voice of the professional fan. This is a very special show tonight.
Yes.
We have a very special guest. We're very excited for this one, Money Mike.
I'm excited.
Very excited. Before we introduce him really quick, as usual, I am Simsta, joined here by my co-host, Money Mike. How you feeling?
You know, I'm confused about the AFC a little bit, man, but
By what happened?
Yeah, but I'm happy.
I'm confused. I'm confused by your picks that you made last week as well. But we'll get to that.
They didn't go through.
No, that didn't work.
I'm happy for the Rams.
You know what?
I'm happy for the Rams.
The good news is you weren't alone. Stat Pat.
Hey, no, I picked the excuse me.
Yeah, right. Look at him. Chiefs. Yeah, you picked the Chiefs.
But I'm a Raider fan, so you know I'm happy.
Yeah, but you picked it. You picked them by a long shot, by the way.
Yeah, I did.
You said it wasn't even close. That was the easy one.
Yeah, I did.
No problem. All right, so we have, like I said, a very special guest with us today. Today we have a gentleman, and you may see something right before us here that's very special.
Mm-hmm.
If you were watching the news, you may have seen something. This week, of course, was the anniversary of the tragic accident that claimed the lives of 9 people, including Kobe Bryant and Gigi Bryant, and a gentleman by the name of Dan Medina. Everybody reaches out in their own way. Kobe reached out and touched a lot of people. We've seen murals, we've seen shirts, paintings, you name it. This is something really special, Dan. You created this memorial statue of Kobe and Gigi, and on the stand had all the names of the people that perished that day. But that wasn't enough.
No, it wasn't.
You had to bring it out on the day to make it extra special for yourself. Dan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah.
So this is my first podcast, and I thank you guys for being generous enough to invite me here, and I'm humbled.
We love having you.
Man, we're excited, more excited than you, I promise.
Exactly. So tell us, again, Kobe touches everyone differently. Excuse me?
You gotta get Marco, right?
Oh, yes. Okay. So Kobe touches everyone differently, but you're right. I'm so excited here. Marco's sitting in the back of my
Marco's like,
what's
Marco,
going on?
it's like my time. It's like my time.
He's ready. Okay. So as usual,
So you sound excited you are.
Marco, I'm sorry, that was my fault.
All right, let's bring him in. Without further ado, Marco Nunez, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Doing well. By all means, you guys were in the wrong. Like I'm interested to hear about the statue itself. It's kind of awesome when I heard about it that it was placed up there, and then too, I think I didn't know this, but just so you mentioned now that all the names of the individuals are also on the statue, which I think it's awesome as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's incredible. It was incredible. Money Mike, you always kind of start this out here. Say hello to Marco.
Marco, so look, I got a question. See, here's the thing. You already know.
I feel like we got to get a couch for Money Mike. It's like,
for real, because you know what? I just be sitting around thinking, right? So I know when you was athletic trainer for the Lakers, I know that you love fixing people, getting them back healthy, working them out. But have you ever been like, dang, this dude hurt again? Have you ever done that? I mean, seriously, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I just fixed you.
I just fixed you. Like,
what are you doing?
You know what I mean? Like, again? It's almost like, you know what I mean? It's like you be changing a light bulb in the house, and then the lamp fall and break the light bulb. You're like, dang, like, I know, again, I know you love your job and all that, and you need injuries in order to have your job, right?
It's a catch-22.
What I tell everybody, we're like firefighters, right? Like that's the trainers. When we're not doing anything, that's a good thing. When we're out, putting out fires and the engines, that's kind of like not a great thing to do. Our job is also to try to get ahead of the game and deal with what we refer to as injury prevention, and hopefully nip any issues that we might be able to discover before they become anything big. But obviously, injuries do happen, part of the sport. There's some things that you cannot prevent or stop, but it is what it is. But I get where you're coming from.
No, I mean, but for real, okay, cool. So listen, I'm gonna ask you again. So you're a firefighter, right?
Yep.
And you went to 123 Grand Street like last week, right? You put the fire out, and then you get another call for 123 Grand Street.
Again? You got to go back again?
What are they doing? Like, what? You want to put out different fires, right? Like have a different experience.
I guess.
We don't need some names, okay? We don't need some names now.
There was
Okay.
this guy that was out, man, for 4 weeks. We couldn't touch him, because we had to let everything get healed and everything. Dude came back, and had an amazing game. Then all of a sudden, his wrist, your wrist, okay, cool. I mean, you didn't mess up your knee again, but now your wrist, anyway.
Hip bone connection to the thigh bone, man.
This is where you take that house and move it to a different county.
Right.
A different fire department deals with it.
I like that. And then if I take that house and move it to a different county, that means I get to go to get a house from
that county, bring it over.
Yeah, there we go.
But we're not going to
get other fire department has to deal with that county.
Right. Hey, but no, in all seriousness, I guess they said X-rays were negative on our boy Anthony Davis, so we're just gonna roll with that. I know that LeBron has some swelling in the knee, and so can you talk a little bit about that? Because I mean, they're not saying anything is torn or
correct.
Is it just wear and tear at this point?
Well, that's a big $1 million question. This part, when they said effusion about 2-3 years ago, effusion is just like a medical term for water in the area or swelling, so to speak. The question is, what's creating that swelling? When you have swelling, that's your body trying to heal or repair some kind of injury or issue that you've developed in a specific joint or area. So the question is, why is it swelling there, and what is it trying to repair? Now, they did say they did an MRI, and structurally, according to the MRI, according to the reports, that he was fine. So no ACL, no PCL, no MCL, no meniscus, all that seems to be intact. So then that leads us to believe that there may be some either chronic issues that develop, some like normal wear and tear, maybe some arthritic issues, maybe a little bit of patellar tendinitis issues, stuff like that. But all the main structures there are intact. So now it's just a matter of trying to deal what's causing that swelling, why is it building there, and if it is just some wear and tear that it's slowly developed throughout the season. So now at this point, they're going to have to manage that swelling, manage his load, manage the knee, manage his minutes, and hopefully it doesn't get any worse or develop to anything worse. He's going to have to sit out for long periods of time, especially now that they're really trying to get the team back together and hopefully make a run for the playoffs.
I think they better do something. Step out.
I mean, seriously. Oh, so Marco, so last week we talked about my injury, which was the fifth metacarpal fracture or boxer's fracture. So I actually got the surgery on Monday. As you can see, I'm like a mummy today. So they got the bandages on me. So once they put the pins in, so I feel my finger kind of like I'm able to move my pinky up and down a little bit. However, I don't have the full range of motion just yet. Now, I know my finger was been in a cast, like a protective cast, for about 3-4 weeks. No, it's actually 3 weeks before I actually got the surgery. But when I'm like my finger won't go back the way it used to, and it hurts kind of like it's almost feel like it's being stretched too much, and it's not even the just pushing it back. It's just a little bit. So it's just a little bit like this, and then all of a sudden it just really like it feels like I'm tearing anything. I hear something about I'm hearing a lot of uneducated answers. Some saying that it's maybe
just cut it off.
Right.
Just chop it off.
That basically that I'm experiencing like there's some scar tissue in the area that has to be worked out. Like, can you explain a little bit about what I'm experiencing right now and how long do you anticipate me to be dealing with this? Because at first I had numbness in my fingers because of the surgery, but then after a while it did stop. I mean, my feelings came back, and they said it was because of the anesthesia. But now my hand, I can make fists, but I have no grip strength. It's really hard to grip things, and my finger doesn't go back as well as it did before. So how long do I anticipate that get back?
Correct. So you're going to probably keep that motion there until you get it out of your cast. And the number one thing they're going to try to do is reduce the swelling, and more importantly, they're going to try to work on increasing your range of motion right off the bat. So you're going to have to try to get that range of motion. That's where you're going to go see either ATC or PT. and get that range of motion back. Then you're going to also have to work on getting that grip strength back. So one of the things they're going to probably do right off the bat is they're going to do use a dynamometer where they're going to have you grip something and you're going to squeeze it as hard as you can. And it's going to measure your strength from that part. And then that's going to be the baseline for them to work on to try to increase your strength from there on. So for right now, you just got to keep in the cast, work on your range of motion as soon as they get out of there. But don't worry about it. You're going to have people that are going to work with you on that part, increase your strength, and kind of go back on there. Now, after they've done surgery, because they've torn that area up and they've done, I don't want to say they've done some damage, but there's scar tissue in there. That area, it's never going to be exactly the same it was before. Okay, but the goal is try to get to as close as possible. So you may have lost a little bit of range of motion, but the goal is that you shouldn't have lost that much, type of thing.
Okay,
right.
I can live with that.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess I have to though, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. Right?
Yeah. So no, here's the real question, man. You know, what they call it, the boxer.
Yep.
Yeah. So when we get them back in the ring, man, we got to start training for this fight again.
He's always in a rush to get all these injured players and athletes right
heal,
back.
man, dude.
Nobody's allowed any time to heal, money.
I'm just trying to get
Time is money. Time is money.
Time is money. That is money for a reason.
I don't need my pinky to talk though. So
And if you wait a little bit, I think technology will catch up, and I think you'll be fine.
There you go.
Just wait another 20 years, man, and I'll be 60. But
Actually, faster than that, I think.
Yeah, it's a couple years. The way things are going, you're right.
True,
Right.
true.
Marco, thank you for joining us. Please tell everybody how to keep up to date with what you've got going on.
Thank you for having me guys again on the show. My name is Marco. You can follow me on Instagram at MarcoAnuni17 or subscribe to my YouTube channel at Evolve Athletic Performance, where I drop weekly sports medicine tips.
All right.
Awesome,
Thank
man.
you so
thank
much.
you, Marco.
Thank you, Marco.
We'll see you soon.
Go Rams.
Yeah. Go Rams.
For sure. All right, Marco. Talk to you later. All right. Thank you very
All right,
much.
Marco.
All right. Excellent. So good information. How do you feel about your hand now?
Hurts.
Hurts,
Right.
You feel every pin now?
Yeah, dude. It's what it is, man. I mean, being dumb and hurt my hand, so now I got to deal with the consequences.
Happens.
But as long as I can, it gets back to somewhat normal.
Exactly.
I think before it was just a crooked finger that wasn't going to work right. Now, I think I can. I got to get the grip strength, man. I'm old and I got young kids, so it's a bad combination.
You got to get that.
Use the term dumb, but any injury in life is just called living.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, if you're
learn.
out there doing stuff, it just happens. So
Yeah, man. Last bone I broke, I had a dislocated wrist I was 14 years old. I was doing something stupid. Was sitting on the top
Damn,
of
dude, you sound like Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
You're hurt all the time.
That's a 30 years between injuries. 30 years between injuries.
Yeah, that's not too bad, actually.
Can I have the AD have 30 years, 30 days between injuries?
How about 3 days?
You know what I'm saying? Like 3 games.
Yeah, 3 games exactly.
Jesus.
Okay, well, as you saw to start out the show, I was super excited to introduce our guest, Money Mike, Stat Pat. We are so happy to have Dan Medina with us. Dan, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for coming down and taking part in our show. We are honored to have you here.
Yes.
And just wow.
I know, right?
Thank you for bringing your beautiful piece of art here. Again, no introduction necessary. However, we will. Dan was recently on the news. It was the anniversary of the tragic accident that took Kobe Bryant, Gigi Bryant, and 7 others. And everybody reached out in many different ways. This affected many people in many different ways. Kobe transcended sports. Kobe transcended celebrity. Dan, what was it? Let's start there. What was it that made you want to create? I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to create this? You weren't commissioned. Nobody came to you and said, "Hey, you're talented. Can you?" This was just from your heart. What brought that to you? What is it about Kobe that made you just feel like you had to do this?
Much like what you just alluded to. And I'll be honest up front, I am not the biggest sports fan in the world. I don't follow it like some people do. And sitting here with you 3 today is like sitting with Neil deGrasse Tyson and talking about stars.
Thank you. You take that as a compliment.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
I'm I admire change, and I admire something positive in this part of the universe we live in. And to me, Kobe Bryant was an example of just that. Whether it was his performance on the flat top, and it was what he did off the court, or how he loved his family or his fans and everything he left behind. To me, the day of, it was a Sunday. Obviously, everyone knows that, but I have to repeat myself because
Absolutely.
in my mind, it's one of those moments where I remember where I was when I heard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And aside from being surreal, the pain was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to live 12 miles away from the accident site.
Wow.
And COVID hit, and I felt like the pain was kind of washed away because it became secondary.
Mm-hmm.
And being in my studio and having some time, I decided, had I been a musician, I would have written a song, a poet. Maybe I would have written a book or a writer, I suppose. But I'm a sculptor, and this is my only way of conveying what it is I'm feeling. And it happened pretty quick. This is about maybe 2.5 to 3 months of research and measuring and changing compositions. And I did it for myself. And normally I'm not a selfish person, but it's just the way I coped with it.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly thereafter, my wife and I were kind of just, at home because of the lockdown. And I decided I'm going to take it and I'm going to enlarge it to life size. And I've done that. And it's in my studio.
Oh, wow.
And again, this is all for me. No one asked me to do it. And it came at a cost, because what I do is it's not a cheap process. It's probably one of the most expensive ways of conveying human expression.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, my pain went through a manifestation, and part of it is sitting in front of you. And that's really what happened.
I can tell you, man, look, I feel energy just from the statue just close to me, because like you said, I remember where I was.
Yeah.
And ironically, I was actually going out that way, and they said, hey, it was off of this, I forgot the street, not in there.
Las Virgenes.
Las Virgenes, yes. And we were going that way anyway, and I got off, and I got to the scene, got interviewed by the media. I remember the helicopter being there, the smoke still coming off of it. And first and foremost, I'm an avid Laker fan. Been a Laker fan all my life since, elementary and stuff. But when I was interviewed, I didn't really talk about him being a basketball player. I talked about him giving us 20 years and then becoming a family man to his daughters.
Yeah.
Right. Because I have 2 daughters, and I do, and I'm a girl dad, and
Girl dads.
They all in the Girl Scouts, and he'll tell you today I'm out trying to help them sell cookies and things like that.
That's why you have a big smile.
Right.
You have girls.
Right.
Wait. Yes, he gets credit, but he was getting them to sell cookies at the Rams tailgate.
Yeah.
Okay. So
We gotta be creative.
They got to eat too.
We all make mistakes. It's okay.
So it works out.
No, they want to go. But
Yeah.
with that being said, though, I love, like, he didn't go, no shade to anybody when I say this. He didn't go to TNT or ESPN or the booth or commentate. He turned his whole focus on his family and said, look, you guys allow me to do 20 years of what I love. I'm going to turn my attention to you guys and give you the rest of me of what I have. And that's what I really, and that's what I said in the interview, at that moment, that day it was that he, it was just the fact that he just turned to his family and made sure that they were good, and all the time that they missed because of his job, he was like, I'm never going to do that again. And that's like, we always could talk about the accolades and 81 points and the rings and all the dedication, but to me, that's what Kobe meant to me. That he was just, a regular old, he was just daddy to his little girls. And that's why I'm touched by what you did.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it definitely it affected everybody. That's for sure. How long did it take you to make the sculpture?
This design in front of us is what we refer to as a maquette. It's a study. Usually when you create large bronzes, and that's what I do for a living, you create a study for composition and engineering, and this is a 2-foot design, which took about 3.5 months.
Really, that's amazing.
And of course, keep in mind that this is what I do for a living, so I had other designs in my studio at the time, and believe you me, there were days when I'd spend time
Focus
on this, and I was hurting my
Understood.
my responsibilities. But yeah, so that's about the time, and most of it was spent just observing details, anatomy, much like our friend here who has a metacarpal that's compromised. I mean, the anatomy makes us who we are. We're just flesh with bones underneath, and everything is composed of collaboration. And his smile. And in fact, I've had probably 14 interviews since the day of, and some of them are. And I have to say, it's global. It's
Kobe is and transcends.
Yeah, tomorrow I have interviews with Russia and Greece and one thing I mentioned is when I studied the anatomy of Kobe Bryant and all the photos that I was able to retain, his smile was different when he was with his family. It was bigger.
Right.
You had more teeth.
Yeah.
And he was a happy guy, but when he was with his family, he was just in the zone, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that's something that really resonated with me initially.
Yeah. And I think you can feel that energy in the statue that you made here, his energy for Gigi and, of course, the family.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Well, yeah. It's so amazing because it's like you said, you're not a big Laker fan,
No, actually, let me correct that, and I should adjust that. Otherwise, you guys will get so I'm 54,
right?
And I grew up when the Forum was this shit.
Yep.
Can I say that?
The Forum Club.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Forum Club.
And I remember, watching Magic Johnson command the energy in the room, and and I was young, a couple games, watched use the Kings there and saw the Lakers there, and I did. And it's funny how life has its way of coming back around. It must have been in late 90s, perhaps. It was playoffs, and it was the Dallas Mavericks against the Lakers, and we're down 20 points, and there was 2 minutes left. People started to get up and walk out of the bleachers, right? They're like, we're done. Let's get to the hot dog in the corner. Let's get in our car and let's just go home. Something happened. And that something was Kobe. He turns it up, turns it on, and I don't know how he did it, and along with his team. And the energy after they won, going down the escalators and just walking by people, it was like just, I have to use the word pleasant. People were happy. They weren't rude. I think even the Dallas players were like, this is what sports is about.
This is greatness.
Out to the parking lot, to the way home, I think it was a Sunday or a Saturday. I felt it until Wednesday, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that even in death, he still has that energy about him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we were talking off air about, you have quotes, you have quotes that you go by, like even in your life. Did you want to tell us one of your favorite ones?
Yeah. And this has come up a few times before the event and then after, and maybe we can talk about the day of, but I'm big into change, and change always, it's almost like a part of nature, but there's good and there's bad. And I have certain icons that I follow in life, and whether it be science, whether it be innovation, whether it be political. But for me, Kobe was kind of covered the entire realm of what it is to be a human, a dad, an example. And a lot of his quotes always resonated with me. In fact, in one of my interviews, which I didn't intend it, was I ended with what it was like carrying this
statue
homage with the pedestal, which again in hindsight I should have made it lighter. It was 160 pounds, and I started at 4:30 in the morning. I did it by myself for many reasons. First and foremost, I didn't want to get anyone else in trouble, and I didn't know what it was going to be like. And it was a quarter moon without my headlamp. It was pitch black. I couldn't see my hand from my face, and it was cold as hell. And when I started up, I had purchased a wagon specifically for this, and I tested the mechanics of it in front of my house because we live on a hillside. But what I didn't factor in was asphalt is much different than wet dirt, which again, I think if any physicists out there, or I'm sorry, anyone who's versed in physics would chastise me. But so I almost didn't make it. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I want to give up. I was like, why am I doing this? No one knows I'm here aside from my family and friends. Even they didn't know. I didn't tell anyone, to tell you the truth, because it was never about me.
No.
And we'll go back to that. But in the moments where I was about to give up, it just hit me, Mamba mentality.
Exactly.
What would he do? What would he think? What would he say? How would he look at me? And again, I can't say, I've never met him. He doesn't know who I am, but that was a factor, and I just kept on pushing.
It's funny. I mean, that you said that, because it's when you're looking for the inspiration in things, right? And the fact that you were taking this this beautiful piece of work to the place where he actually that he died, and like we said before, the other 7 others that passed away with him, you can't help but to like push forward and go on. Like you said, you had the point where you wanted to give up, and then if there's anything to embody Kobe, it would be that, what we call it, the Mamba mentality. But we're just talking about perseverance. We're talking about just getting it done. And what better example than Kobe Bryant to push you through that? You're doing it for him, like, okay, like, I'm doing this for Kobe. And like you said, what would Kobe think at the end of the day? Like, I got there, but I mean, Kobe would be like, I understand you, brother. but at the same time, we do what we got to do to go up there to get up that hill, what I'm saying? And you did that. And that's got to be, I mean, that's a little bit, I want people to like really think about that part of the story. Like at any point in time, you could have decided to like, okay, I'll get somebody to put this up there for me. But you're like, nah, I'm doing it. It's mine. I'm going to do this. And this is how I feel. And like Jeff was talking about earlier, it's about how you channel things. How do you get inspired, and what do you do with it? How did he touch you, and how do you feel like you can give back? Others do murals. You do this wonderful piece of work right here. So,
I want to let's go through this, man. I want to back up a little bit. So, you made this, you made the sculpture, and it was done. Was that your intention to go to the crash site? How did you come up with that idea? How did you get up there?
Really good question, because I'm sorry, I don't mean
go
to.
ahead.
No, you're good.
Like I said, I did it for myself, and there was really no intention. Again, I do this is what I do for a living, and there would be a lot of attention to be sought by being that artist,
Right.
but that wasn't that wasn't part of it going in.
Yeah.
And even since then, it's never been the focus. But when I visited the site, and this is like maybe 6 months after it, because I busy in life and COVID and things like that. And then when I went up there and I turned that corner, and if anyone that's been there, have you guys been there?
I was across the street from there, but
But have you hiked to the site?
No.
Then let's make it a point for all 4 of us to go there together, because
That'd be
I think it's worth it.
Okay.
And if any of your fans want to meet us there, that'd be great. So when you turn this corner, it's about 1.2 miles, and there's a story, and I mentioned it earlier. I have a Garmin watch that I love, and we hike, and we definitely make it a point to get out in nature. And I make it a point, and it's habit and it's instinct, that when I get to a certain point, I'll hit stop. I know what button it is, and then I took an image of my watch, because at that point it was 28 minutes and 4 seconds on my watch, and you can see in the photo, and I'll share it with you. Blurry in the background is the makeshift memorial that was there. Now, I'm not one for those kind of woo-woo moments, but to me it was pretty profound. So then I thought, as I turned a corner, as powerful as that moment was in my life, I didn't feel like there was enough done since the accident to really give it what it deserves. And again, had I been a musician, I would have sat down and maybe written a song, but right. I'm not, and this is what you have in front of you. When it started, the important thing is, I have a few good friends, and of course my wife. You have conversations with people close to you. One being a really good friend, John, big crypto guy. He and I were bouncing it back, and I said, I have this crazy idea. Why don't I go on like Banksy style, graffiti by night type of art, and just install it permanently which would have been amazing, I suppose. But then, and that was my intent. I was like, fixed. This is what I'm going to do. And I actually built 2 models and on computers, and I had I calculated how much cement, how much water I had to hike up, and how many times I have to be there. And I thought, and this is very
That's
complex.
incredible.
How much time do we have? Because this story.
Oh, keep talking.
Yeah.
Keep talking. We have no limits here. Go ahead.
And even we live on a hill, and I actually dug a footprint, and I drilled 2 holes and 3 holes.
That is so awesome.
I went through all the physics of what it would be to actually do this on a permanent basis. And even the piece itself, this piece and the pedestal, are engineered to be permanent in the last thousands of years. That's just what I do. Sounds like somebody we know. You do it right.
Exactly.
And the closer I got to it, I'm like, man, I mean, I don't mind going to jail or getting a fine, but, you know, why would I tarnish something so beautiful? So the closer I got to it, I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to take it up sunrise to sundown. I think that's poetic in itself, and I think it sends a message. And this is 2 years after, but keep in mind, this is probably 6 months ago where I decided that's what I was going to do.
Right.
So I just sat patiently. I didn't want to preempt it. I didn't want to be selfish. I waited for the right moment. And then prior to Wednesday, on Tuesday night, I was having doubt, which I think is a good part of the human condition, because doubt makes you better. In fact, I say that my biggest strength going into anything I do is my insecurity, because that makes me work a lot harder.
Oh yeah, we know that well.
You guys know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? I'm resolved that if I go there, and according to her, she said, if I talk to squirrels all day, I would be happy. And I may have said that, which I probably did, but if in my mind, I thought if I can reach out to just one family member and have a moment and give them some sort of resolve, it'll all be worth it. And I was good with that. I had no idea this was going to happen because it started early, it started hard, and it snowballed. Where should I go? Should I talk about the hike up, or is that boring?
No, keep going.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's 4:30 in the morning, drove up, packed it up, and I felt like a ninja of sorts. And as much as I practiced and I planned it out in my mind and all the math and everything I didn't factor in 2 things. One is how cold it was and how hard that trail was. And it's a single track, and because of the rain we've had recently, it was soft. And I had made the mistake of I rigged a backpack, an old backpack that had kind of a trailer hitch, where I connected myself, which is permanent, to the 160-pound tribute. And I was fine. It was hard initially, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? I even have a video of my GoPro that I turned off because I was distracted. You can see my breath come down like it's, and it was cold. So at one point, the trail became kind of cantered to the left, and the wagon went down the hill.
Oh wow!
Took me with it. And the fact that spot's still there because I visited since, and of course it was complete blackness, and I just grabbed onto the hillside and I grabbed onto whatever I can feel, and I pulled it back up, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing here? So then I continued, and I decided at that point is to not be attached to the wagon, but I actually pulled it with my arm. Luckily, I trained for it slightly, a little bit, but and then I went up, and about halfway up, the handle for the wagon that is rated for about 140 pounds broke off. Maybe just because of the stress.
It never works out like that.
Yeah,
the game plan, right?
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about it. So to not go much further, I decided, at that point, I'm done. I was going to call my wife and just give in and what have you. But I decided that that's just not me. That's not him. That's not us.
Yeah,
and continued. Then I decided to. I took some straps, made a makeshift handle, and then that broke off completely. And what's funny is, moving forward, a footnote, my wife and a few people who would come up, they would bring up bolts and screws.
From
and they would say,
your breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Is this yours?
That's what.
But so I ended up picking up the bronze in front of us, which is about 30 pounds, and then would hike it up 30 yards, come back for the pedestal, hike it up 20 yards, going back and forth. And it's important to say, I don't know if you guys have seen on my Instagram, there is a time lapse that I planned for where you go from night to day.
Yeah.
Now that was in my mind even before I started hiking.
Right.
So I know I had a time limit.
Mhm.
So not only was I dumb enough to overestimate myself or my ability, I put pressure on myself because that's what I wanted.
So nice.
And so when I finally got there and I set up the GoPro and I just, I put in the dirt and I started the time lapse and I walked away from it. This must have been about 6:30, I suppose. Yeah, it was. And it got cold. I mean, it was like 40 degrees. I wanted to dig a hole and climb in it like they do when you hear these stories. But I didn't care. So I spent about 2 hours by myself because that's just the nature of it. And that video was, to me, it's exactly what I wanted to capture. And then all of a sudden, the media started to show up. There was a few hikers prior to that, but then, and my wife it was down in the parking lot and she spoke to ABC and they were maybe trying to interview the low hanging fruit, those who would come and, from the parking lot. But based on the information that she conveyed, they decided it was worth hiking up to.
Sure.
And there was one guy, and I no disrespect, there's been so many people from the LA Times started to tweet it. Then it blew up.
That was it.
Then TMZ took over and NBC, and it's just insane. And I'll give it to you. I'll hand it over right now. But the intent, the entire time, was not for the attention. It came from the heart, and I'd say that. And some of the experiences that I had that night, or I'm sorry, that day, or it was night and day, I won't share because it's too personal.
Right.
And I won't think about it because I'll get emotional. But there are people there that day that were more than just fans.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget what
this
did.
I think you mentioned something when you were talking earlier, and it's been echoing in my mind. You said, I never met Kobe. You never met Kobe. None of us necessarily met Kobe personally. Okay, no, but you didn't have a personal conversation. You have met him. Yet, I do feel like we all know Kobe personally.
We know a part of him.
Yeah, that's why it's so personal for everybody. You didn't have to meet the man. He showed you everything that he was.
Yes.
Everything that he gave, everything that he cared about. He showed without question.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna tell you, I can't tell you how much your expression meant to me by what you did. So I want to thank you for that. But also, I love that you added the other names, right? Because that's very important. Because we were talking to somebody another podcast because they said
we don't make the rules.
Yeah, we were talking to them, we make the rules, and you know what they were saying? We were talking about it. They were saying, well, the sad part about Farrah Fawcett is when she passed away, Michael Jackson passed away at the same time.
I remember that. Yeah.
Right. So Farrah Fawcett is lost, in that because Michael Jackson was just Michael Jackson. So the fact that not only are we still honoring Kobe, but we're honoring the other 7 that were on the planet as well. And I think that's an amazing thing because you obviously had that in your mind when you were doing this for Kobe, but you were doing it for the others that lost, and we don't forget their names, and that's very important.
It's important, and being hypersensitive to the event, that was always an intention of mine, and we'll go into it in a bit. But there's twofold to this. What I refer to as I'll call it a movement for now that I'm trying to promote. But the first one being, it's important to talk about the 9, and we know who the first 2 are named.
Yeah.
And I like to go through the other names. It was John, Carrie, Alyssa, Christina, Sarah, Peyton, and Ara.
Yeah.
Again, this is me being hypersensitive. It's more to say that there were 9, but we need to
say their names
and learn their names.
Absolutely.
And some of the backlash I've got, I don't know if you guys have seen some of the backlash on social media. I agree. you know, and sometimes misinformation or non-information is just as deadly as a weapon.
Yeah.
And those who critiqued the endeavor initially weren't able to see the names. Maybe it was a bad choice in my design where I didn't highlight it enough, I didn't polish it, whatever. Or maybe it was the media stations who'd only focused on the statue. But the intent from the beginning has been sincere and genuine, and I can't emphasize that enough.
It's the fact that you said intent, like when people, because I did see a little bit of the criticism about that, and initially I thought to myself, like, we don't know this man's intent. We know that he did a good thing, but you guys are trying to judge him on something you think you know. Yeah. And that's where it was like, what do you? Because it's almost as if they're actually saying that because that's something that they probably would do. It's almost as if
I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all.
It's weird. It's
what confuses me is we have celebrated on this show. We've had mural artists on this show that have painted beautiful murals of Kobe and Gigi, and they don't seem to get the same backlash. If they, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but it's the person touched you in a special way. That's why you're recognizing them. I don't understand why you would get backlash, but a mural artist or somebody who does a T-shirt or something wouldn't.
Right.
I knew going in that the caveat would be the location. That's it. That's what makes a difference. Mm. And I accept that. And for those who are still,
they'll get over
against it. But I still have to offer an apology, because I mean the objective of art, whether it be music or anything we do as humans, is to appease the stranger, I suppose, or the world. And if I failed in that aspect, I apologize, but that wasn't my intent.
Yeah, I mean, and I would also think that it feels like we're gotten to the point, since we've been 2 years removed from the situation, how before it was fresh, it was raw. A lot of people were just doing these murals out of, just coming out of, remember, they were coming out of the blue. They were like, before it, like 2 weeks, they only had like 100 murals all over the place, right? It was like going fast and furious. And now that people have now, I think about now, like I said, 2 years is now people are starting to like get back to normal. You know what I'm saying? It's almost does your work a disservice, because people now are going back and picking that shit. Excuse me. I mean, that's what I'm just thinking. Like, it just doesn't, it doesn't make any, like Jeff said, it doesn't make any sense why you would get any backlash. You did something heartfelt, you did it and inspired you.
And it's beautiful.
And it's beautiful. Yeah, and the thing about it, and like you said before, it's one thing, like Mike has alluded to earlier. He's a girl dad. Jeff has a daughter. I have 2 daughters. Like, we love our girls. I mean, I have a son. He has a son too. But I mean, forget the boys. But but the girls, and we love our girls. But the fact that this mural has Gigi, and one thing about in the tragedy of that, and I know we've already talked about this ad nauseum, but when it comes to Kobe Bryant, Kobe Bryant has done what he did, and we celebrated him because of how he touched us. What was tragic about Gigi is because we knew the potential that it was going to be. Like, we knew she was going to do great things, and she didn't get the opportunity to do those great things. And so it's almost like, parents always tell you to never want to bury their children, that kind of thing. And it's just so crazy when you think about that. And I like the fact that we have these works of art to not always remember Kobe, but also remember Gigi. And of course, we talked about the 7 others. And I apologize. And I say this on air right now. I apologize because I don't know all the names.
Exactly.
I know who they were and who like a couple people. And there's like, but I don't know the names well enough. And I think at this point, for us to move forward to actually include everyone into the conversation is to do everyone justice by knowing their names.
Exactly. But there's also a case in your defense. I mean, there's plenty of moments in time, whether they be good or bad. You don't know all the let's call them those that I don't like to use the word victims because it's so permanent, but all those that were lost, all those that were sacrificed, perhaps, it doesn't negate the fact that you feel something about 9/11
Right.
or any other tragedy that's ever happened. I mean, but no fault to anybody, but we go through life from being, born, luckily to be born in this world, to hopefully living a good life. Things are going to happen, and there are certain moments in time, much like I remember when Princess Diana had passed away, or the space shuttle, or to lighten up a little bit. I remember the first time I heard Mike Tyson got knocked out.
Oh yeah,
that broke my heart.
Those are all life moments.
You know where you were.
Yeah, those are life
that
moments.
Hurt.
And we're all roughly the same age here. So for our parents, it was JFK. They knew exactly where they were. And it affects everybody in a slightly different way, but those massive moments, those massively tragic moments do affect everybody.
I want to go to Clubhouse. You guys been hearing the interview with Mr. Medina. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and blink your mic.
Go ahead and blink your mic, say hello, we'll catch you on it. Oh, we do.
Okay, go ahead, Shay.
Good evening. My name is Pat Simpson.
Hey,
good
Shay.
evening.
I really appreciate this tribute to Kobe and Gigi and their friends. It's really beautiful. 2 years later, it's still unbelievable that they're gone.
Yeah.
When I heard the news, I was at Disneyland and I cried there, and months later. I still get teary-eyed sometimes when I see some old games, interviews, pictures. We were fortunate enough to meet Kobe, and he was so nice to us. I'm a registered nurse, and I wear my Kobe's to remind myself to keep going throughout this pandemic, like Mamba mentality, like you said.
Beautiful.
I really appreciate it, Dan, like your hard work, and I'm sure that millions of Kobe's fans appreciate it as well, like I do.
Oh, you're beautiful, Shay.
Thank you, Shay.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Shay.
Thank you
we
so
appreciate
much.
you.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Crispy.
Oh no, man! I was just clapping for Shay. That was
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, right. Give roses to Shay for her hard work. Thank you, Crispy. Thank you.
Okay.
Again, for me, the statue is more than just Kobe and Gigi. It represents the relationship of a father and daughter. The growth, the journey. It's everything, and that's why it touches each person. That moment and the Kobe Gigi relationship, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it just hits home.
Yeah, I just always think about the interview. Like I said, that was the first thing I said. And Pat told me, he said, Mike, you really touch, on really what Kobe meant, because everybody know him as a basketball player, and listen, trust me, one of the greatest basketball players I've ever seen. But man, I just so admired his after basketball life. It was just, it was just everything for me. Like, all he did was just hang around with his daughter and watching him being in the gym and him showing her the moves.
That was great.
That's the craziest. That's the crazy video right there.
I'm like, oh my God! I don't want.
She about to tear it up. You're thinking like she about to tear it up.
Wait till she gets to.
She about to tear it up.
It's about to be something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I read that at one point someone asked him, "So are you going to have a son so that he can carry your legacy on?" And she said, "I got this."
Yes, exactly. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
I mean, it's so amazing. And I would just want to give a shout out to Vanessa too, because
she's done
of course.
Since.
When I think about like her. And she kind of always never really said anything.
She's quiet.
And I think just people just with their idiocy just think that that she just kind of was behind him but didn't like have a voice or anything. But I love everything that she's done since, and I'm gonna tell you, I could tell that they had great conversations. You know what I mean? And because the movements that she's made, the lawsuits that they've had, and because people was asking me about, obviously with the sheriffs and stuff like that. And I'm like, they had the money to be able to, if God forbid, Joe Blow's loses loved ones, and the pitchers get you know, the sheriffs do the same thing. Now they have laws in the books, you know, to prevent those types of things to happen, because I don't have the money to fight that. Right. So I feel that when she gets these rulings and these lawsuits, she's fighting for us regular people, you know, and I love how, you know, the things that she's doing with the, you know, Mamacita and all that type of stuff. To me, that's all that's Kobe, because I know that, you know, husband and wife, you know, they just have those real intimate, you know, conversations, and you know, just want to give a shout out to Vanessa for keeping everything strong. And go ahead.
No, that was a great team. They are a great team, and they still are strong. Absolutely. If you ask me, because I still, like you say, I see Vanessa is amazingly strong and amazingly smart. And I think Kobe and Vanessa grew up together and learned together. It wasn't, like you said, just Kobe. And just because you didn't hear Vanessa's voice until the latter years, of course, these last couple of years, doesn't mean she didn't have one. It doesn't mean she wasn't there. That was by choice. You know, so that was very, very neat. Now, of course, this is beautiful. Lakers, all of that stuff, Kobe. We are in Los Angeles. And today was a big day for Los Angeles. We have to get to it. We have to talk about it. Real quick. We're getting towards the end of the show. The NFL playoffs. The playoffs for today. Step Pat.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we talked about it briefly here. Okay. So you guys, you already punched your ticket. KC was going to the Super Bowl. There was no doubt. I mean, that was the one.
I thought that was the sure thing.
That was the sure thing. How'd that work out for you?
Well, obviously they lost. But you know, one thing I can say this. At first, I wasn't a Joe Burrow believer. But as I was watching, he has moxie, man. He really gets after it. And one thing about him, he's not afraid in the moment. So you have a lot of that with, especially he's only been in the league. Think about this. He's only been in the league for 2 years right now. They were the worst team in the league 2 years. That's why they were able to get the number one pick.
Won 2 games?
Yes, 2 games. They got somehow, some way, they got the right mixture of players and got the quarterback of their franchise. And they're in the Super Bowl after 2 years. Raiders, take notice. I mean, it can happen. It can really happen, dude. You just got to pick the right people. But, you know, it's a team effort, you know, and I hate to be like saying that they got out-coached, but, you know, when you start seeing that there was some tape out there on KC, how to beat them, you know, what Mahomes' tendencies are, and they were able to be exploited. And, you know, Bengals were the team to do that. Now, I mean, I'm not even going to count against the Bengals right now, man, because, you know, even though –
well, that's the funny. That's the funny part.
Like, I don't even want to count them out.
Now. Because before everybody was saying the Bengals didn't have a chance. Bengals.
I would listen.
Casey, but now, I wouldn't mess with the Bengals. No, I would. One game they go and they win, and all of a sudden now they're the favorite. Before they didn't even stand a chance.
Look, I'm gonna say it like this, man. I cannot name one defensive player on the Bengals.
Don't matter, they're winning.
But I know that they was playing some great defense. You know what I mean? Because literally, I'm watching Patrick Mahomes run around in the pocket for about 30 seconds. And that's a long time. That's like 2 hours in quarterback in the hiking, right? This dude, he ran to the left, ran to the right. You know, he stepped up. You know, and he couldn't find nobody. Like you can't squeeze nothing in.
Nah.
You got 30 seconds, dog. That's a long time.
Yeah, man.
Usually it's hike sack. No, this dude, he had the potential. And all those sacks that he had was because he had nobody to throw to. So I got to figure out these people's names. Do you know any?
I just know Eli Apple. And Eli Apple only because of the fact that he was with 2 other teams, the Giants and also with the Saints. And I'm thinking the third team also dropped the pick in that game. That could have cost him. He dropped the pick. So I mean, I want to get. So he's more infamous than famous for me.
So there's 10 starters that we do not know on that team that's about to go to the Super Bowl.
And they're all going to ball out to us.
And watch this, because I really only know Burrow and Chase, and the only reason why I know Chase is because he was on my fantasy team. Because
thank you, fantasy sports again.
NFL loves fantasy.
You know what I mean?
Fantasy. So that's how you learn the players. That's absolutely beautiful.
But I would tell you though, is always, and I said this all the time, like when in football, they always have that Cinderella team that just goes all the way.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I thought it was going. I remember I was worried about it being Pittsburgh. Or
So
maybe
glad it wasn't.
maybe the 49ers.
Isn't
Go
that
ahead.
the beauty of sports?
Yes.
That
Yes,
is the beauty
exactly.
of
You
sports.
gotta play the game.
And there's always upsets. There's always
Yeah.
the Cinderella story.
Right.
I
That's the
mean,
beauty of it.
and so the Rams are playing.
Boom.
And
The Rams are in the Super Bowl.
The Rams are in the Super Bowl, and one
at home.
all those guys don't have to worry about getting up and getting on a
At
plane.
home.
They just go right back to their same
To all
locker
the
room,
events,
all the events, everything. It's just crazy. It's just awesome, man.
That's
it's
an
awesome.
advantage.
And look, man, and being from LA and just I'm not a Ram fan, so I'm not going to say, but being from LA, the energy in this city for the next 2 weeks is going to be lit. I'm going to tell you that, you know what I'm saying? And people that, you're going to feel that energy. And I just hope for like my friend's sake that they win the Super Bowl, because they don't win the Super Bowl this year, I'm going on the head. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I'm being back on their head, but I really believe they got the team. They put all the chips in the middle of the table. They said, forget the future. We're going to trade first round picks for Jalen Ramsey. We're going to trade first round picks for Von Miller. Also, we're going to make sure we get all these guys in, and these collective of guys on the defense, keeping them in games. And of course, you got to stop Cooper Kupp, and right now Cam Akers
Third
is
and
back.
Cup.
Yeah, you got Cam Akers is now back, the running back that came back from an Achilles. He got an Achilles injury, had Achilles injury in July. He came back and he's playing in the Super Bowl. Usually that back in the day when you heard the Achilles injury,
you were done.
You were done.
Yeah.
You were done. And now you got guys coming back after 4 or 5 months. So, obviously you're talking about technology, you talk about medicine. Yes, we're
right.
pretty much there already, right? But yeah, it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I was going to say before it was going to on paper I would think it'd be a blowout, but I don't know. I don't know.
You're on. You're
Rams
on
win.
okay.
I mean, don't. Rams going to win. Rams going to win.
All right.
I don't know. Okay, I would say this is the funny part with me, right? I have a long standing bet with a guy, one of my friends. It's at least 10 years old, right? And what happens is at this time of the year, whoever texts first, that's their team. It's a long-standing $100 bet.
Oh, really?
We always know where it is. We go back and forth. We're probably in 10 years, we're probably 5-5, right? But you always want to get in first. I was having another conversation. I got a text, and that guy picked the Rams. So for the sake of my bet, I am going to root for the Bengals, but I want a good game.
All right,
it's going to be a good game.
I'm going to call it. I'm going to actually go with the Money Mike train of thought here. What I'm going to say here is that I actually think because the Bengals have overexceeded what their expectations were this year, that they are happy with where they are and getting to the Super Bowl, where the Rams are not. The Rams still feel like they have more to prove. So for that reason, I'm going with the Rams.
See, and you know what? And that train of thought is what I used to pick the Kansas City Chiefs this game.
The last game.
Because I felt that the Kansas City Chiefs had a mission. They got the heir apparent in Mahomes. So he's already thinking Super Bowl or bust every year.
Yep.
And he's been in his 4th straight AFC championship game. So he basically lives there. Okay. You would think that this is almost like there's a rite of passage for them to go to the Super Bowl, and the Bengals were just a stepping stone. However, like we said before in this game, you got to play the game.
Yep.
And one thing about any kind of ball game, especially in football, these one plays are like they magnified. Now, at the end of the first quarter, in the first half of that game, the Bengals were up 21, I think, to 10. Going in, and they had the ball. Now they were trying to be greedy. They were trying to put their foot on their throat, try to get greedy.
Yep.
They went for it. They messed up. Didn't have any time. Now they lost. Now you usually, if you're up by 11, you're going to take the 3 points. If you take 3 points, you don't lose by the field goal by McPherson at the end of the game. They talk about situational football. They talk about, sometimes coaching blunders can cost team. We didn't know at that point in time, that would be the point. Just like in the Rams game, The 49ers had a pick right there. It could have intercepted the ball. I think they were up 17-14. They had a pick. The guy dropped the pick. What they did is just like, you're punished because it's football. The football god's going to punish you for that. So, of course, the Rams went down there, get the field goal to tie the game. And then, of course, they came back and got the ball, and Garoppolo was a Garoppolo and made a mistake, and they won the game.
Now, you did mention Garoppolo, and that was you're nervous.
Yeah, I was really, because Garoppolo he was the quarterback that I thought was, playing on ball time. I mean, the game, it wasn't him. It's not like Mahomes. It's not like Stafford. It's not like Burrow. He's not the straw that stirs the drink. It's the defense.
Excellent. All right.
So, Dan, what do you think? Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
We got the Rams versus the Bengals.
I guess to think is to assume that I know more than I do, but I'm a California guy,
there you
LA
go.
guy, and I have really close friends who are rooting for the Rams. I'm going to go with the Rams.
I love it.
Cool,
I love it.
And if I can just say one more
Please
thing,
do.
it's really important. The intent, and I think what you guys are doing is great. You're giving energy into the universe, kind of a butterfly effect, if I could say. There's been conversations happening since Wednesday about the location and the memorial. There's also another conversation happening with this particular design for downtown LA, monument scale.
Awesome.
I would love to come back to you guys and update you when it happens.
Oh, we'll keep up to date.
Yeah, because let me just say that was my first thought. Like, where is Kobe's statue?
It has to go permanent. Yeah, this one is beautiful.
So and I think I think I think that in front of Staples would.
I think Staples Center is appropriate, and I know they have their garden there, and I really admire it. That is Kobe Bryant, the athlete.
Exactly.
This is a bit different than that, where it's Kobe Bryant, the man, the icon, the father, everything that we've talked about today. I see this somewhere where it's free to see from the street, walk around, and you can have crowds as big as you can. Again, this is my vision, and things are moving forward. And if it's not me, if it's another work of art, I think it needs to happen.
No, it's going to happen.
Well, I tell you what,
that's gorgeous.
I 100% agree with that perspective. And, if anything that Profane Nation can do as far as getting the word out,
we'll be supporting
you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll be keeping up to date, and we'll be keeping our listeners and our followers up to date.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
All right. And we can sign off, but there's one thing I won't leave with is one of those shirts.
Oh, you'll be leaving. We're not going just yet. Let's get him the shirt, and we're gonna get him a statement shirt.
I'll get you a statement shirt.
All right, you got it, guys.
I got you a championship combination Laker and Dodger championship.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we always give some of our merch out, but
that's
definitely if you want a Heart of a Talent shirt.
All right.
Yeah, the Heart of Talent and that one.
Yeah,
thank you, boss.
So,
I appreciate that.
Perfect.
We'll reach out to you and give you that.
All right.
And as the viewers of our show know, we always finish our show with a segment we like to call Money Mike's Out of Bounds. Now, Money Mike here, he's going to go ahead and share his thoughts or opinions on a topic, and he just wants to know, is he in bounds or out of bounds? Money Mike, you have the mic.
This is a very different out of bounds. Very, very different. I've never done it this way before. Hey, Crispy, Shay, I'm going to need you guys' help because I was sitting around thinking, I was looking at that guy that ran onto the field
the Chiefs
at the Chiefs game, and he got, they bet him $1,000, and he got 3 days in jail, and then he got $1,000.
And they have the footage,
and they have the footage,
the Instagram footage.
So the guy ran a line.
They challenging him.
I was asking myself, and I didn't really get an answer. So I was wondering. I said, I wonder how much money my co-host would take to run out on the field. So I put a price on both you guys.
Oh, okay.
Right. I put a price on, and it's different. I've known you guys. Well, in fact, I've known you a long time. Jeff, I've known you about 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think your amounts are different based on you guys' personalities.
Okay.
So it's more of a question, and I'm gonna give you an answer. I say that one person would do it for 10 grand, and I say the other person would do it for 20 grand. So, Crispy, this is where I need your help. Who do you think?
Who's the 10?
Who do you think is a 10 and a 20? Because I for sure think one of them would not do it for 10.
That's a good question, Mike. I'm gonna have to go Simster for the 20, Stat Pat for the 10.
Really?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We take that.
I like it. One
Okay.
for Simsta.
Shay, you've hung out with us before. What do you think? Who do you think I'm giving the 22 and who I'm giving the 10 to?
Is she on there?
I would say Simsta 10 and Stat Pat 20.
Ooh, 1 and 1.
Okay.
1 and 1. All right.
Dan.
You can just take a guess
you
at this one.
just met us.
Yeah.
So who do you think? You've had maybe about 10, 15 minutes, equal amount of time to talk to her personality wise. Who do you think I'm giving the 10 to and I'm giving the 22?
I'd say let's raise another 10 and have them both do it.
There you go. That's a good answer. I like that.
Right.
Okay. So how does this work? You're gonna let us know?
I want to know from you guys
if
I'm out of bounds and who I assign the money.
Okay, let's go.
I think 100% Simpson would do it for 10 grand.
Okay.
And I think Stat Pat I would have to give him 20 grand. Am I out of bounds in my numbers?
No, you're in bounds.
So no, I do
You're
that.
in bounds. No, and the reason why I'm saying you're in bounds, obviously I got kids. I got 3 of them. Okay. And I haven't got I barely started the college fund. So I'm gonna need some more. I need some money in there. So if you telling me maybe we're gonna negotiate, I probably would have got it to 30. And then I'm thinking about I'm really gonna get a record for this. I'm really gonna get fingerprinted.
Yeah.
Just for some
But you don't know. So in other words, you're turning down the 10.
I'm turning down 10, yeah. And,
but is this European style, like streaking?
No,
we're not streaking.
That's an extra 10. That's an extra 10 for sure.
All right. So Jeff, I said that you'll do it for 10. I think you actually would do it for 5. Am I out of bounds for that?
Yes. I would actually withdraw 10 and challenge you to do it for that. I'd prefer to pay someone 10 than to take the 10.
Oh, so you wouldn't do it?
I probably would not do it.
Wow.
No.
Wow, I'm completely wrong.
No.
I thought Jeff.
Now, if it was naked. If I was actually
okay, so let's back it up. Let's back it up real quick. Let's back it up. So now remember the guy that went on the field, got steamrolled.
Yeah, he did. He got pounded.
Okay, with a dude in pads.
How amazing!
Okay. Oh yeah. So he came in there trying to go against the ball, and he got leveled. Stephon Diggs leveled this cat. Now I'm thinking like, all right, so for 30,000, I'm looking up. I'm got snot bubbles. I got a concussion, and I'm thinking like all my
bubbles.
I got my and
you got 2 broken pinkies.
You know what I'm saying? I'm already on the mend. I'm already on the mend. I can't go back in there. Like seriously, I'm not doing that. I mean, yeah, I would have done it. But yeah, man, it's desperate time called with desperate measures, man. I guess I'm out there. Like,
man, I completely thought that Simpson would definitely do it.
Okay,
just for money, just go.
No, you know why?
Forgot the age, bro.
No, but see, you know why?
Instantly, my
20-year-old, yes.
So, but here's the thing, though.
Probably do it in my drawers at 20. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I'm 45.
Like, you would have done it for a beer at 20.
You know what I'm saying? Get drunk enough.
Like, I'm not even really going to get too detailed why I thought it, but I will say this. So I know Pat for a while, and I knew what Pat's answer was. I knew that he would give that. I've had a whole lot of conversation with Jeff, and I know Jeff has done some crazy shit in his life.
I'm past that now. I'm a changed man.
Because I know.
I wasn't always a cop.
Right. Yeah, because I know.
Beverly Hills cop.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Because I know Jeff did some crazy shit. I said, oh yeah, he would just do it just for the experience. You know what I mean? So I'm right.
I've apparently told you too many stories and the truth too much.
Yes.
That was like I think all those stories ended when I was about like 19.
Oh, okay. But
we'll see.
All right, cool. But no, but that
Give or take about 5-7 years.
Yes, like
6 years ago. There you go. Thank you. You're definitely coming back on the show.
All right.
all right, awesome.
All right,
Awesome.
everybody. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Dan Medina. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with us. We know that a lot of people have been calling, and we really appreciate it. The Profanity Nation podcast has become primarily focused on NBA and Lakers. You can't be a Laker fan without being a Kobe fan. So thank you very much, our listeners and our followers. Really appreciate it. Stat Pat, Money Mike, thank you guys. Yours truly, Simsta. We will be back as always next week here every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. We will be back next week. We are heading towards a Super Bowl, people. So get your party ready. LA is a party town again.
Super
Another
Bowl.
chance at a championship here. And let's make it happen this time, guys. So be sure to follow, keep up with Dan Medina, keep up with the trophy because with the statue, because something special is going to happen with that. I have a feeling.
Yes, sir.
And you'll get all the information right here. We'll be sure to have you back on.
Yes.
That's for sure. So we appreciate it again, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking part. We appreciate it. We will be back next week.
Thank you,
out
guys.
this bitch.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.
Profanity Nation.
Profanity Nation.
A podcast for the fans, by the fans. Dive deep into the topics the other shows miss. Raw and uncensored.
And he's going to play team ball. His legacy is at stake.
Rare, hard-hitting interviews with players, coaches, and you, the super fans.
I'm not hating. I'm like, okay, cool. Good.
3 championships in 5 years. He's more than good, bro.
Profanity Nation. Listen live or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Powered by Jesse Brown of Keller Williams.